She screamed so loud the pigeons scattered, as if her voice alone could rewrite the laws of the park. Karen's face, red as the autumn leaves crunching under her sneakers, was inches from the photographer's lens, and he was already regretting his choice of location. In the heart of Riverside Park, where joggers wove through dog walkers and kids chased frisbees, a storm was brewing, one that would leave scars no one saw coming. This wasn't just a shouting match. It was a collision of pride, power, and a camera that refused to blink. Elliot Harper, a 28-year-old freelance photographer, had been chasing the perfect shot all morning. His portfolio was thin, his rent was late, and the golden hour light filtering through the park's ancient oaks was his last hope for something marketable. He'd set up his tripod near a quiet fountain, capturing candid moments. An old man feeding squirrels, a couple laughing on a bench, the soft blur of a jogger's silhouette. Harmless, he thought. Human, he believed. But Karen Mitchell, 47, mother of two and self-appointed guardian of public decency, saw something else entirely. To her, that camera was a weapon, and Elliot was an intruder in her perfectly curated world. It started with a glare. Elliot felt it before he saw hair prickling on the back of his neck as he adjusted his lens. Karen was striding toward him, her designer sunglasses perched like a crown, her yoga mat slung over her shoulder like a badge of moral superiority. "You can't just take pictures of people without permission," she barked, her voice slicing through the park's hum. Elliot lowered his camera, confused. "Ma'am, I'm in a public space. It's legal to photograph here." His tone was calm, practiced, the kind you use when you've dealt with one too many complaints. But Karen wasn't here for dialogue. She was here for war. The crowd began to gather, drawn by the rising pitch of her voice. "You're violating privacy," she shouted, stepping closer, her finger jabbing the air like a dagger. "You think you can just point that thing at anyone? At me? At my kids?" Elliot's stomach sank. He hadn't even noticed her kids. Two teenagers glued to their phones 50 feet away, oblivious to the scene. He tried to explain public photography laws, artistic intent, no harm meant, but Karen wasn't listening. She was performing. Smartphones came out, red recording dots blinking like vultures circling a carcass. This was no longer a misunderstanding. It was a spectacle. Karen's rage escalated, her words a torrent of accusations. "Pervert. Creep. You're probably selling these photos online." Elliot's hands shook, not from fear but from the injustice of it all. He'd spent years honing his craft, scraping by on gig money, and now this woman was painting him as a predator in front of strangers. He raised his camera, not to shoot but to shield himself, murmuring, "Lady, please, I'm just doing my job." That was the spark. Karen lunged, swatting at the camera, her nails grazing his arm. The crowd gasped. Someone yelled, "Whoa, calm down." But Karen was a freight train, unstoppable, her voice climbing to a shriek. "You don't belong here." Elliot stumbled back, his tripod wobbling. He could have walked away. He should have. But something snapped, maybe the months of rejections, the empty fridge, the weight of being misunderstood. He hit record on his camera, the lens capturing every second of Karen's tirade. Her face filled the frame, eyes wild, spittle flying as she screamed about lawsuits and decency. The footage was raw, unfiltered, a portrait of fury. And it was gold. Not for his portfolio, but for something bigger. Something that could protect him. The park ranger arrived 10 minutes later, alerted by a bystander's call. Karen spun her story first, claiming Elliot had harassed her, targeted her children, made her feel unsafe. Her voice cracked with rehearsed emotion, and for a moment, the ranger's eyes narrowed at Elliot. But the crowd wasn't silent. A college student, her phone still recording, stepped forward. "She attacked him," she said, holding up her video. "He didn't do anything." Others nodded, their own clips corroborating the truth. And then there was Elliot's footage, crystal clear, showing Karen's aggression in vivid detail. The ranger's face softened, then hardened again as he turned to Karen. "Ma'am, you need to come with me." What followed was a slow-burning unraveling. Karen's outburst didn't just end in the park. It followed her to court. Elliot's footage, combined with bystander videos, became evidence in a case no one expected. Karen was charged with intimidation and public disturbance, her actions classified as aggressive harassment under state law. The fine was steep, $500, but the real cost was her reputation. The videos went viral, shared across platforms like wildfire. Karen versus photographer trended for days, memes sprouting like weeds. Her name, her face, her meltdown became a cautionary tale, dissected by strangers online. Her yoga studio dropped her as a client. Her book club stopped inviting her. Even her teenagers, mortified, started spending more time at their dad's. Elliot, meanwhile, was no hero. The internet crowned him one briefly, but fame is a fickle beast. Some called him opportunistic for sharing the footage, accusing him of profiting off Karen's downfall. His inbox filled with hate mail alongside the praise, and galleries still weren't buying his work. The viral moment didn't pay his rent, but he kept shooting, haunted by the encounter. He'd won, technically, but the victory felt hollow. Karen wasn't a monster. He realized she was a person, flawed and fragile, caught in a moment of her own unraveling. He wondered if he'd pushed back too hard, if he could have de-escalated. Guilt gnawed at him, even as he framed a new shot of the same park, now quiet under winter's first snow. The courtroom had been clinical, the judge's voice flat as she read the verdict. Karen stood silent, her sunglasses gone, her eyes red-rimmed. She didn't look at Elliot, didn't look at anyone. The fine was paid, the case closed, but the story lingered. It wasn't just about a photographer and a Karen. It was about a world where every moment could be recorded, judged, immortalized, where a single outburst could redefine a life, where justice felt like punishment and victory tasted like ash. Karen's life didn't end, but it changed. She moved to a smaller town, started therapy, tried to rebuild. Her kids forgave her, slowly, but the internet never did. Elliot sold a few photos, paid his rent, kept shooting. But every time he raised his camera, he saw her face, not the screaming one, but the one in court, stripped bare. He wondered if he'd ever capture anything as raw again. He hoped he wouldn't. The park is still there, the fountain still bubbling, the oaks still standing. People pass through, unaware of the clash that unfolded. But the story lives on, in pixels and posts, a reminder of how quickly lines are drawn, how fiercely we defend our versions of right. Was Karen a villain, or a woman pushed to her edge? Was Elliot a victim, or a catalyst? The truth, like the footage, depends on the angle. What do you think? Where does justice lie in a story like this? Share your thoughts. Was Karen's punishment fair, or did the internet's judgment go too far?